Shalom and good day all, this is Tehillim29 back again for another DC comic review, and in this DC comic review I'll be covering World's Finest by Mark Waid and The Flash by Jeremy Adams. I'll now get things quickly organised for the first comic that will be reviewed on the list for you. So as you can see here, we're starting off with World's Finest by Mark Waid, and first things first, does this cover in any way, shape or form connect to something that is happening inside with the story? And sure enough it does, to which I give it a 7.5 out of 10. We will now move to having a look at the internal art as well as some of the things that are happening story-wise, and then give the art rating and then move into the story. So as we begin looking at the art around the beginning of the story, we have things taking place mainly on Thursdays and Fridays. So this is taking place over sort of like a certain number of Thursdays and a certain number of Fridays throughout this particular month in regards to this story. And of course we've got Friday being covered here in the Batcave along with what's happening in the Fortress of Solitude. And things are starting to be organized between a date between Robin and Supergirl, and we are talking Dick Grayson along with Kara Zor-El. Jumping into the middle, we get to see a range of things that these two get up to in both retrospective places, sometimes together, sometimes in different places within the DC universe. So we get a mix of what's happening in between Metropolis, along with in Gotham, and last but not least, towards the end of the story, and why they realize that, well, they're not meant to be the perfect couple. But you know what? That's all right. At least we still got to see both characters doing some crime fighting in between dates, of course, and also not on dates. So a really nice execution. For the internal art, I gave it a 7.5 out of 10. Moving to the next thing, and that is the area of the story racing. Now, first things first, as you know, there's 4 little categories that I like to cover in my story racing. The first thing being comic references, because without comic references, we don't know if this takes place between another comic or maybe something that might be happening present in this particular comic run. So a reference to the same comic run, but it could be taking place like in between a story or after some stories. Next is the area of time. Now, we did actually get an indication of time, and this lets us, the reader, know as to when some of these things were taking place within this particular story being told to us. And in it we had some months ago, and we had Thursday and Friday show up quite a bit. So I think it showed up about, I think it's 3 times in this comic. So we, the reader, were actually told when this was taking place, but we also know that it was taking place towards the end of the week, or with the characters, the end of their week, so on Thursday and Friday. Next is the area of locations, to which we got to see Gotham City. We also got to see the Batcave. We also got to see the Fortress of Solitude. And last but not least, the restaurant to which these two were meeting at. The cast of characters, last but not least, being Dick Grayson, the first original Robin. And of course, we had Superman and Supergirl, and we cannot forget Batman because he was there too. The overall story rating for this was a 7.5 out of 10. Now it's time to move on to The Flash by Jeremy Adams. So, we're finally back at the 1 Minute War, Part 4. And moving in, the first things first, does this cover in any way, shape or form connect to something that's happening inside of the story? Sure enough it does, to which I give the cover a 7 out of 10. Now it's time to move into the internal art, to which we'll have a look around the beginning, middle and of course the end. Starting now. So as the story begins, we end up catching up with the Wally West family, along with the many members that make up the Flash family. And we still don't know the name of this character. We really haven't learned who they are. Oh, we know that they're an organic conduit. But on top of that, it's really quite interesting as to what they're discussing with them. And of course, he notices that someone's pregnant. Jumping towards the middle of the story, we get basically a meeting of all the heads that are there, and of course we have Superman returning along with a couple of other characters now willing to help with what's happening in the 1 Minute War. Of course, we get to see Impulse, Jesse Quick, and whoever else. We get Jay Garrick here, plus. And last but not least, moving towards the end, as we finally catch up with the members of the Fraction once again. And as we can see here, we have actually one of the Flash family members who have actually turned one of their automobiles into, well, what the Fraction did with theirs, but they're the ones who are actually running the vehicle themselves with the Speed Force, which is really quite clever. So for the internal art, I gave it a 7 out of 10. Now it's time to move into the area of the story rating. So first things first, did we get any comic references? Yes, we did. We got a comic reference to Flash issue 783. The next is the area of time. We didn't really get anything in the area of time. After that is location. Did we get any indication of location? No, we didn't. It wasn't really clearly pointed out. Though we got to see that it was actually taking place in someone's place, but we got no idea whose place. It might have been the Wally West family household. Moving into the next thing, we had the cast of characters. We had Superman, Impulse, Barry Allen, members of the Wally West family, Kid Flash, Jay Garrick, it was nice to see him, Max Mercury, Jesse Quick, of course, talk of Miss Murder once again, and one other character, oh yes, Atom. For the overall story rating in this, I gave it a 7 out of 10. Until then, let's keep it colourful and have yourself an awesome day.